A super good Sunday afternoon to each and every single one of you. Sorry about the terrible wind noise. If I take my hand this side, the lighting isn't quite so good, but I can at least, let's try like this, cup my hand sort of around the microphone and get you slightly better audio. Anyway, Sunday afternoon, a nice long stroll along the river path that you can see behind me, and over there the snow-capped peaks of Sierra Nevada, Spain. Wait for better lighting, I have to switch to this way, so apologies for wind noise and river noise coming from behind us. I'll bring my face right up close to the camera so that hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. Anyway, today Sunday marks the end of week 3 of Granada half marathon training, meaning that I've got 10 more weeks of training to go. And in addition to that, what I can say is this training program has been switched around from what most training programs are. So today's Sunday on any other training program would be day of the long run. But because I've structured my training program in such a way that I can make weekends in Granada more relaxed, less structured, the infamous long run has been switched up to Friday of each week. Let me just step up onto this little retaining wall so that the car that's traveling on the track that is now just stopped can come past, but looks like it's not really moving at the moment. Anyway, it's actually reversing away from me. So I've made long run day Friday, and I do my long run on a Friday afternoon. And of late, because we officially still in winter, long run day Friday in the gym on the treadmill, giving me a much more controlled environment. So after only 3 weeks of training, my Friday long run is already up to 15 kilometers for my long run. And considering that I'm training my way up to 21.1 kilometer half marathon, a 15 kilometer long run places me only 6 kilometers short of my half marathon distance. And to be already hitting that distance 10 weeks out bodes well on the overall endurance front. However, aside from that, obviously the pace at which I'm doing my 15 kilometer long run is substantially slower than the pace that I'm hoping to run the Granada half marathon. But obviously the two main parts of the Granada half marathon being speed and power for the hills will be coming into the training program over the course of the coming weeks. And actually this next week's training is going to be including, I think my Wednesday workout is going to be hill work. And again, using the treadmill because it's a controlled environment. And I think my power workout for Wednesday is going to be 5 times 4 minutes at a gradient of 5%. with a 3-minute easy or 3-minute rest, running the same pace on the flat between each of the 4-minute intervals. I've never done a treadmill workout like that in my life before, so that's going to be a really, really interesting workout, and I'll do my level best to remember what it's like and give you a report back on that next week when we touch base. But anyway, what I can say is that my first half marathon since starting hormone therapy just happens to be the half marathon where I'm giving myself the most structured and event specific training program I've ever taken on myself. All my triathlons have been just basically building the aerobic engine. We just stand here for a while, it gets a bit light. Building my aerobic engine. Oh, this is terrible wind noise. And in addition to that, besides building my aerobic engine, there's been a couple of key hill sprint type workouts, interval type workouts, but none of them specifically structured to the event that I'm training for. Whereas now, with the Granada Half Marathon, and I know that it has a couple of really heavy hills in the last 8 kilometers, the specifics of this training program, this half marathon, means that I need to make the opening 12 kilometers of the race, which are fairly flat, be as, I suppose you can say, as cheap as possible, as economic as possible, simply so that I can not really, even if I sacrifice, say, 4 seconds or 5 seconds per kilometer over the opening 12 kilometers, but if I can arrive at those final 8 kilometers completely fresh, with my quad muscles still completely fresh, it means no blowing up and losing minutes of time on those 2 big climbs that come in the final 8 kilometers. So that's what's led to such a very structured and formalized training plan. What am I going to do as far as my overall training is concerned once the Granada Half Marathon is done and dusted and behind me? Right now, I'm thinking along the lines of continuing the training program along of general half marathon fitness, maybe general 3/4 marathon fitness, whereby if a half marathon crosses my path, I can sharpen myself up for that within a period of 2 to 3 weeks, specific to whatever that event is. It is possible that maybe there's my local mountain village, Ocheva, has got its annual 19-kilometer race, which involves a couple of big hills. I've done that a few times in the past. I think I've done it 5 times in the past already. And that comes in on the 17th of May, which puts it 3 weeks after the Granada Half Marathon. If I run a good half marathon in Granada and take a gentle recovery week, sharpen myself up for a week and a half, and then have just a half-week taper, I should be able to handle the 19-kilometer Ocheva to Langroen race without any major hiccups along the way. But we'll see how that pans out and how these last 10 weeks of training for the Granada Half Marathon progress. But I'll keep you up to date with all of those as the training progresses, as the weeks progress. But right now, I was able to do my long run at a nice easy pace and knock out 15 kilometers on my long run, holding a heart rate of 96 beats per minute. So that's showing me that from a cardiovascular point of view, I have the fitness needed to hold 15 kilometers, and that's an incredibly reassuring space to be. But with that, we come to the end of this week's week in the life of newly transitioning person trying to get themselves fit for their first half marathon post transition. But with that, I'll say goodbye for this week. See you next week. Bye.